champion is clad in big orange.
The pitch. Swing and a miss! That's the ball game! The national champion is clad in big orange!
Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
Tennessee Volunteers have wrapped up an SEC outright regular season title.
The SEC runs through Rocky Top. Tennessee wins the SEC regular season crown for the 2nd consecutive season.
The 1-0. In the air, right center field. Bronx on the move. Won't get there. Tennessee walks it off. It's a mismatch. Deep three. Come on now. Man, don't connect. Probably driving this time. Indeed. And two-hand jam. Booker. Down the middle. Got it on the fly. It's high and again. And he's going to take it. Touchdown, Tennessee.
How much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top, college football, it's absolute fun.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into another episode of the Vol Fanatics Show. It is the day after a big Tennessee win, so we're fired up right now. I'm Michael with my co-host Skylar. Skylar, how we doing today, man?
I am feeling so good. You have no idea. Honestly, Tennessee won. They covered. You know, good teams win. Great teams cover. Florida lost. We're gonna talk all about. Dude, we've got a loaded show. Michael, tell us a little bit. We made some changes. Added some friends. We've got somebody joining the show today. Actually, a couple folks. Dude, just give us a rundown. Like, what's the quick lineup? Tennessee football is actually already here. He said, it is great to be a Tennessee Vol. I said, it's great to be a Tennessee Vol. He also says, I went to that game yesterday. It was so fun. Bro, all right, we're off the cuff. How hot was you, brother? I was on Vol Navy, all right? By the way, got a video kind of going viral on TikTok. Shameless plug. It is what it is. It was miserably hot to the point to where I had to jump in the river at halftime, and I'm so glad I did. The river is super cold. But let me know how hot it was in the stadium. It was crazy. One more. Robert says, hey, guys, this season has arrived. It was so nice watching SEC football once again. My Saturdays are complete. That's what I'm talking about. We got a little bit of football tonight, man. Michael, dude, give us a rundown. What all we got lined up today?
So we've got a loaded show. We're going to start off recapping yesterday's game. You know, not so much as far as what the stats are telling us, but maybe some questions that might have gotten answered yesterday that we had going into the season, because I feel like there were some questions that got answered yesterday. Still got a few questions that need to be answered later on. Then we're going to have a special guest on the show in segment 2. We have got friends from the Red and White podcast, NC State podcast, are going to be coming on with us for segment 2. We're going to preview the Tennessee NC State game. And Skylar, what we got going on segments 3 and segment 4? We got a segment 4 now. What we got going on towards the end?
Dude, it's crazy. Right quick, I'm going to catch up with these comments. Tennessee Football 247 said, I got sunburn all over the back of my neck. And he then follows it up with a great comment. This is one of the best. He said, it felt like 98. Yes, dude.
Love it.
I appreciate your grit to hang in there, brother. It was a hot one. Justin on Facebook, we appreciate you, brother. Justin, hey, that's your favorite buddy right there. He agrees with you on everything on the show. So glad he's here to give you some support because somebody's not winning this week. Hey, we're going to talk about that too. But segment 3 is going to be our picks for the week coming up in week 2. Another loaded week. We actually got some SEC matchups. Maybe one.
We got one SEC matchup, but some big games that the SEC is involved in.
100%. One that comes to mind is Texas, Michigan. I mean, Michigan didn't look too impressive this week, but we'll see. So that's going to be segment 3 and then segment 4. All right. So we are going to do, obviously we do the upset pick of the week, right? So that's going to be part of segment 4, but we also got a new segment. It's going to be called Raking with Jake. We got a new guest. He's going to be coming on here to give you guys some best bets, what he thinks is going to be not guaranteed, can't guarantee anything in these days, but some of the picks that he really feels good about going into the weekend, that if you just put a couple dollars on, maybe, just maybe, you might get something back. But we appreciate him coming on the show. He wanted to join us, and we jumped all in. So he's going to be joining us. That's going to be in segment 4, along with the upset pick of the week. We got Vols time in the house. Florida will end the season with a different coach. I don't think that's a hot take, honestly.
No.
We've been saying that for 8 months. So so did you see his post, Billy Napier, by the way? Did you see his post game interview, press conference, whatever you want to call it?
I did not see it.
So he took a L, right, in Miami, or actually in his house to Miami. Then he's at the press conference, and he's got a bottle of water, and I'm just going to use a flashlight for reference here. Brother is, taking questions, and Buddy can't open the bottle of water. He's sitting there. He's trying. He does the whole hand thing, and then he just can't do it. And then he says something about like the loss was embarrassing, right? And then he looks down, he just sets the water back down. He doesn't even take a drink.
So I think this also falls into Robert's comment here of we got our answers regarding the Gators. So yeah.
You know what's sad is we predicted them to go 4-8, which I still think they could do. But we had them beating Miami, both of us.
Yeah.
Like we kind of thought that they would do it. Them not beating Miami, man, things kind of take a turn for that team. But we're not here to talk about the Florida Gators, but we do love to hate them. No, we appreciate everybody tuning in. 4 segments of the show. Without further ado, I'm going to let you guys know who we are presented by, and that is Chris Smith Insurance. As a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company, so he decided to start an agency of his own, where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. All insurance is not equal. Trust the Chris Smith Insurance today, guys. If y'all need a quote or anything, be sure to give him a call at 865-272-3387. We appreciate Chris and his continued support for our channel. He's been here since day one, and that's why he's our presenting show sponsor. So thank you, Chris. And without further ado, we got a lot to talk about just with our boys, right? The Vols. It's about time to get them back. They wore the smoky grays. What we were going to expect. Honestly, I think we got a little bit more than what we expected. But before we get into all that, you want to let us know who sponsors our segment 1?
Yeah, so our segment 1 sponsor is Optimal Asbestos Services, your trusted environmental consulting firm in Knoxville, Tennessee. State licensed and insured. We specialize in asbestos air quality management for commercial buildings and homes. You can contact Jeff Mole at 865-223-3297 or on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. So we're going to get right into this recap of Tennessee and Chattanooga. I got the graphics up, man. I got it going.
No, I mean, that, but I just seen a comment. We got a new listener, watcher, I think, from the show. His name's Aaron Hill. This is one of the guys that I met in Panama. All right, so look. This funny story. Thank you, Aaron, by the way, for tuning in and watching. I go to Panama City Beach with my wife, right? She wants to go spend it with her best friend. Spent like 2 days out there. Wasn't a long stint, but I booked a tee time for the first time in my life. I went golfing by myself. I had no idea who I was going to be golfing with. Just so happened that I ended up joining a twosome and another solo, all 3 of which Vol fans.
Man, that is awesome.
What are the chances, brother? So, I had to do what I always do. They were asking me questions, and I was answering them, like, on the spot. And Aaron, correct me if this story's wrong, but, like, they were like, dude, like, you're a little bit more diehard than I am. And I'm like, well, I mean, I talk about it. I got a podcast. You got that shameless plug,
Yeah.
And then right then, that's when they started drilling me with questions. But it was all a good fun. We had a great time out there. It was really cool. But Vols time, he also tunes in from YouTube, says, how about Vandy? We got some things to talk about Vandy coming up in the pick segment. I'm not surprised. I didn't pick him to win, but I'm not surprised because that quarterback that we said could be the guy, he carried, dude. I don't know if you watched the game, but like, my goodness, it was him and all him. So thankfully they got the win. It was awesome because I got to hate on ACC a little bit. But without further ado, man, let's talk about this Tennessee game in Chattanooga. What's the first thing you want to pick out here from this game?
Well, let's just start with Nico because the title of the show was Nico breaking records in his debut in
his one half.
Yeah. So So that right there, the previous record for passing yards in a half was 313 yards. That was set by Tyler Bray back in, what was that, 2012 or something like that.
Close.
Yeah. Nico broke that yesterday only by 1 yard, but still, your very first start in Knoxville, and you break the record for passing yards in a half. 314 yards. He was phenomenal. He struggled just a little bit on that final drive of the first half, that little 2-minute drill, but I think the timing was just off on some things. But other than that, he looked phenomenal. He made really good decisions. I think there was 2, maybe 3 passes off the top of my head I can think of that, maybe you shouldn't have thrown that. I know there was one that he got hit right as he threw that caused it to be off target, but made a lot of good decisions. The 2 throws that just stand out in my mind: the pass down the sideline where he just hits Dante Thornton perfectly in stride. And then the other one was the Brew McCoy post route over the middle. I mean, he put that ball where only Brew could get it. And man, it was just gorgeous, those 2 passes. But fantastic day for Nico.
I love how you bring up 2 passes that weren't even touchdowns, but they were just on the money. If I had to pick out a drive, I think you kind of see it already kind of going around in the media, but like the third drive where it was just straight up 2 passes.
Yep.
One to Brazel. The next one I think was to Dante Thornton.
Yeah, I think that was Thornton's first touchdown.
Both of them, I think, were right across the middle, just different sides. So, like, one was the right post, and then the second one was the left deep post or go route, I think it was. Both of those, it was just 2 plays on the money and touchdown. And I mean, like, that was the whole, like, this kid's got it, like, for sure. And we knew he had it, but it was just like his accuracy all day. He started out 10 for 10 with like 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. The accuracy was on point. He had 1 overthrow. He had one kind of like you were trying to hit the bubble screen on the wide receiver. He had one, he kind of threw it a little bit too far in front of him. But other than those 2, I mean, and that's super nitpicky, right? He was on the money. He was on target, even when he rolled out to his right, which I feel like he loves to do, by the way. Like, it just feels like that's his natural thing to do is roll out to his right and then throw across his body. But really, really sound, very efficient. You see it, 22 for 28, 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, one of which to Ethan Davis and the other 2 to Dante Thornton. One thing that I got answered as far as a question that I had was if he was going to run a little bit. He did, but I do think it is a coach thing that he will not be running as much as we think he could. Now, maybe that's trying to reserve him, but I think, honestly, it's because maybe Heupel is a little bit reserved about the lack of depth at the quarterback room. But either way, solid day from Nico. Solid day.
That's where I'll kind of disagree with you. I think he's still going to run the ball quite a bit. I just think the game plan yesterday, Heupel said, do not run the ball against Chat unless you absolutely have to. I think we're going to see Nico run it quite a bit. But I do think you have a point. Heupel's going to be like, look, run it when you have to, but don't just run it to run the ball. But right. I do think yesterday against Chat, it was one of those things where unless it is just absolutely necessary, I don't want you running the ball. We don't need you hurt in this game. A big question mark that I had, and I won't say it, the position group itself was a question mark because I was confident in it, but it really solidified my thoughts on the running back room yesterday. As long as they are healthy, this could be one of the best running back rooms, not just in the SEC, but in the nation. I mean, Dylan Sampson, you can see there 12 rushes, 124 yards, and 3 touchdowns, including, I believe, was it a 60-something yard run down the sideline, setting up another scoring drive, 56 yards.
You know what's crazy is I think 7 of those – I wish I could pull up a stat. I wish I was tech savvy where I could pull up the stat of these stats versus how many plays they actually played. Yeah. Because I think Dylan Sampson's first 7 rushes were on the very first drive.
That's very possible.
I think he rushed 6 or 7 times on the first drive. If you remember, it was a lengthy drive that we even got to 4th down, but we went for it in the red zone and got it. But I'm pretty sure Dylan Sampson only ran it 5 other times after that. And you see the numbers there. Just really, really solid day. But you talk about the running back group, man. What about Cam Seldon looking healthy? I mean, he didn't even look like he was hurt in fall. And people forget that he was. Running hard. You got Deshaun Bishop right there behind him. Khalifa Keith got his first touchdown of the day late in the game. Peyton Lewis, I think, even found some time. I mean, look, this offense did everything they needed to do. I don't think Tennessee's ever played this many, like this amount of players. I think literally 100 players on roster played a snap in this football game. And that's exactly what you need to do against a Chattanooga, something we couldn't do last year.
Yeah, that's the big thing about all of this is you took care of business. You did what you needed to do. You got guys in there that you needed to see. And by the way, you were 100% correct. He ran the ball 7 times on that opening drive, along with catching a shovel pass that was nearly a disaster actually, but ended up working out. He actually nearly got the first down on it. You talked about Cam Seldon, how he didn't even look like he was hurt, but the guy that I was really excited about, that everyone has been excited about all fall camp, Deshaun Bishop, man. He looked fantastic in the game yesterday. And the reason that I say my questions have been answered about this group is because there is a lot of talent but inexperience in the group. But I think those guys yesterday, yes, it's against Chattanooga, but they proved that if they get in the game, they are trustworthy. Even Khalifa Keith and Peyton Lewis, when they got into the game, they looked fantastic. They were just hard-nosed runners. I think any question marks about the group, as long as they stay healthy, have been answered going forward this season.
Right on. A couple of comments from people that are joining us on this Sunday, Victory Sunday. We got Vols time back in here. He said, believe Nico is going to break a bunch of records. He follows that up to say, do you believe Nico will beat Hendon Hooker for touchdown record? I
forget how many touchdowns Hendon threw in his 2 years, but
you got to remember Hendon. Sorry to cut you off. Hendon obviously never played a full season. Like he played 2 seasons, but both of those seasons were cut short, whether it was because he was behind backup starter Joe Milton at the time, and then he finally won the job over in the second, third game. And then the second season, we all know what happened there. So, I mean, I think if Nico stays healthy, has 2 really good seasons, I don't see him playing a third. I think he's going pro. But I still think there's absolutely a way. I mean, he started out really great. Look, Hendon had a bunch of 2-touchdown games. Nico's already first home start, already got a 3-touchdown game. Yeah, I could absolutely see him doing that. Misty Family's joining the chat from Facebook. We appreciate you. That's my mom. Shout out to Mom. She allowed me to go to Vol Navy this weekend because I needed a co-captain, man. I was scared. It was my first time. I didn't know what to expect. But she was like, hey, I'm going to the game. Can you give me a ride? And I was like, yeah. I realized that, hey, man, you could save a little bit of money on parking if you just ride a boat to the game. All right. So I was like, absolutely. I'll be a taxi driver. But anyway, so we appreciate you guys tuning in. Yeah, dude, it was great to see. Offense done a great job. Nico, I think, is obviously everything that we expected, maybe even a little bit more. I'll tell you a guy that I'm really, really proud of, actually 2. One is Brew McCoy. Seeing him get that jet sweep, kind of get his feet wet, per se. He looked healthy. He does look slimmer. He looks faster. And I think that's a scary thing for defenses. But Dante Thornton as well, coming off injury, kind of similar injury as Brew. But he kind of, I would say if you had to choose a winner of the wide receiver group, it's really hard to do that because I think Brazel has the trust in Nico. He just didn't have the day statistically. But you look at a guy like Dante Thornton, he had the most productive day, right? 3 receptions, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that is like a slimmed down version of Jalen Hyde against Bama. I mean, that is very productive for Dante Thornton. And his 3rd reception probably should have been a touchdown. It looked like the dude slowed up. I don't understand. Like that go route you mentioned being Nico's one of his best throws, which I agree with. It's like after he caught the ball, it's like Dante Thornton was gassed. I don't know what it was. It looked like he slowed up. I don't know. But either way, a great day from both of the guys at the wide receiver spot. Really good to see from the offense.
Yeah. So a question that I had for you, because I was really excited to see this yesterday.
Yeah.
Are we going to see Heupel and Kelsey Pope and Joey Halsey, all these guys, are we going to see them kind of rotate in wide receivers like they did yesterday, or was that just a chat thing trying to see what they had?
Nah, I think that's a chat thing. Look, they rotated guys offensively and defensively, I think a lot more hybrid than you're ever going to see again. I think on the defense, you can still see them sub out. I mean, dude, they played like 15 D linemen in the first quarter, which is insane. But as far as offensively, I was actually going to bring that up to you. A guy that like kind of disappeared a little bit, but not really because he still made some plays special teams, but Squirrel White.
Yeah.
I mean, where was he at?
There is so many weapons in that wide receiver group. And that's what we were talking about back earlier. Is there going to be enough playing time for each of them? Is there going to be a spot for each of them? And if they rotate like they did yesterday, then absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of leaning towards you. I just don't know if they're going to rotate like that. But it is a positive sign to see you have enough of those guys that can come in there, because a guy that really looked good yesterday, and we've been hearing good things about him through fall camp, is Chaz Nimrod, man.
He looked great.
He is really stepped
He
up.
looks shifty. He looks really shifty. Like, that dude makes a guy miss all the time. And I love that. Like, even if he's not your biggest guy, like, you get him out in space, and then, man, that dude made like 2 cut moves along the sideline and picked up like another 10 yards because he just made some people look silly. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Tennessee Football 247 from YouTube says, did y'all see that Miami receiver? He's been playing for 9 years. I think I know who he's talking about, but I didn't watch that game really.
I didn't. No, I watched the game, but I didn't see that. I missed that stat right there. But
we ain't talking about Miami, dude.
No.
Come on now. But let's talk a little bit defensively, dude. Real quick.
Yep.
Defensively, it's textbook. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, I mean, Chattanooga scored 3. They could have easily scored 10, but they should have definitely scored 6 because our offense threw an interception, had them set up in the red zone right off the gate. But, like, our defense was able to make a stand right there, too. That was huge. Forced a missed field goal. Special teams still a thing, right? So, I don't think it was really called that we were supposed to block a punt. It's just they didn't block us. So, like, Jordan Ross took his opportunity. I mean, you're talking about a true freshman getting to see the field. Yeah, he's going to do whatever he wants to do, pretty much. And
you're talking about a guy that I am super excited about.
I'm telling you,
after yesterday, I mean, he's been showing out during the fall camp, and I think, was it Josh Pate saying that he saw Jordan Ross and was like, "This dude does not look like a true freshman."
Yeah, we're starting to get a lot of those. It's a different feel around this team for sure. But yeah. I mean,
But I mean, he made some plays on defense, and then, like you mentioned, that block punt. He just came in at 2 hands, spiked it into the ground, picked it up, and ran in for the touchdown. I mean, just super exciting. When you got guys like that, and Joshua Josephs, and numerous other guys to go along with James Pierce Jr., who, by the way, first off,
what happened? What happened?
So he didn't play much yesterday, but he didn't have to. But also, defenses are going to be king on him until other guys can prove that they can do it. And I think that when you got guys like Joshua Josephs, who had an outstanding day yesterday, along with Jordan Ross and all the other edge rushers that Tennessee has, then you're not going to have enough guys to block everybody up front.
Right. I mean, you talk about a defense, you mentioned subbing out. I mean, there wasn't a single player on the defensive side of the ball that played more than 20 snaps. And that's via Brent Hubbs. From the coach's show this morning. That's pretty wild. I don't think that's ever – I think that was 2 things. 1, Chattanooga couldn't stay on the field. 2, Tennessee kind of just obviously dominated, but kept the ball out of their hands because they kept the ball for so long. I don't know what the time of possession difference was in this one, but it wasn't really good as far as in favor for Chattanooga. In fact, it was really terrible. I was trying to look at it real quick.
Actually,
time of possession, it was actually very much 50-50. Wow, I'm so stupid. That had to have been – I don't know how that's even possible, but yeah, it's literally time of possession was perfect. It was 50-50.
It was just how fast Tennessee was playing yesterday.
I guess that's fair.
That led to that, but yeah, defense looked good. I will say, I do still have some questions at secondary. Not when it comes to their tackling, though. This group can tackle, which is something that we have not seen in the past couple of years. They tend to They tend to try to arm tackle or just come up and shoulder bump you and all that. This team loves to tackle. Yeah. But I saw a couple of times yesterday where they got beat in some coverage. Now, they did recover well, but I think we are going to still have some struggles in the secondary.
I found the stat that makes me feel a little bit better about what I just said. Plays ran. Chattanooga only ran 59 plays to Tennessee's 90. So that doesn't necessarily always show up in time of possession, apparently, because like you said, Tennessee goes so fast. But yeah, I mean, just like right there, that's why you never really seen a defensive player play more than 20 plays. There was only 59 total that they could have played on. And, at halftime, at that point, you're pretty much throwing in everybody you can. Get that experience in. You're talking about true freshmen that maybe promise some playing time. I mean, you got to think about the coaching realm of this. who can you put on the field to kind of help not just this team this year, but also keep. I mean, you got to remember, dude, these guys have to recruit even after they're on your team, right? So when you got that opportunity to get a young guy, just a little bit of a taste of that, what it means to run through the tee, of course, but also to play on that field on an opener game. I think this coaching staff did a great job of rotating those guys. Vols time comes in here and says, however, Georgia Tech's looking good too. Georgia Tech's looking good. I just strongly think that Florida State was overrated. That's just my whole take. I don't think Georgia Tech's bad. I think Haynes Keene's doing great things, but I do think he's a little bit mistake prone. But there's a couple teams that I think is a little overrated. You want to read that comment out for me?
Yeah, so Robert chimes in. He says, what I love about blowout games is you get to see all the players have the opportunity to play, specifically seeing Gaston Moore and Jake Merklinger getting their feet wet and throwing the ball. He's 100% correct there. Now, Gaston Moore had a couple of throws that he'd like to have back. I mean, interception is one of them. He missed a wide open Chaz Nimrod trying to go for the end zone with Chris Brazel on one play. You did get a field goal out of that drive. So there was some things that he probably wants to improve upon. Jake Merklinger looked good, though. I mean, when one of them that I can think of, I think it was the only positive rush that he had. But what he did, the play was designed to be a screen pass out to the outside. He immediately saw it, pump faked. He saw that it wasn't there. He didn't try to force the ball. He saw it, pump faked, pulled it down, and got positive yards on it. I think it was a 1 yard gain. But something like that is not something that you see a lot of times from a true freshman like that in their first game experience. A lot of times you'll see those guys, they'll still try to force something out there. And he didn't do that. He made all the right decisions when he was in there and, led the team down the field and they scored a touchdown on that drive. I think it was maybe Khalifa Keith maybe got the touchdown,
I think so. Yeah, I think like and it was his first rushing touchdown. I mean, he's a true freshman. So yeah, absolutely. All right. We're wrapping up on this segment. There's one question I really got to ask you. Because it's the one I've been wanting to ask because I've got the answer for it.
Okay.
You're one player not named Nico, Iamaleava. And I'm even going to say not Dylan Sampson either because that's kind of cheating. Who is your standout player of the game in the first half?
Standout player of the game? I mean, the obvious answer is Dante Thornton.
Nah, don't take somebody on the screen. Because I wasn't about to just read everybody on the screen. All right, nobody on the screen. Who's your player?
Honestly, I'm gonna go with Deshaun Bishop. Just what he showed on the field. Deshaun Bishop, his story being he was a walk-on last year at Tennessee.
Yeah, he's a local kid too.
Yeah, a local kid, a local legend. I mean, he was the leading rusher all time at Carnes High School or something like that.
That's fair, but I don't know. I'm not going to speak on it, but I don't know.
I mean, he walked on at Tennessee. He could have gone anywhere else, but decided to walk on at Tennessee. He proved himself last year, and I believe was going to work his way up to some playing time. Unfortunately, got hurt, missed the entire season, and he took advantage of some guys being hurt in the offseason this year. And he's battling for that second string spot with Cam Seldon. I think, we've got that clear cut. Dylan Sampson is number one, and I think it is Cam Seldon, Deshaun Bishop, 2A, 2B right there.
Which we said in our position group.
Yeah.
I mean, we said it was going to be something like that. All right. Zach tunes in. He said, I think Chris Brazel is going to be a stud. And that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Dude was getting targets earlier, almost like, that relationship's there. Like, it just didn't look like it statistically, but if you need like a third down, like it's Chris Brazel. Like that's your guy. I like that pick, Zach. I'm actually going to go on the defensive side of the ball. Nobody's going to pick this. And that's why I love that you didn't. It's Tyree West, man. In the inside, dude making plays, caused a fumble, got a sack. I mean, was everywhere. And nobody's talking about him. And that's rightfully so. There's other dogs on the defensive line. But Tyree West on the inside causing as much havoc as he is exactly kind of like Joshua Joseph. Is exactly what you need when you've got so much attention that's being focused on James Pierce Jr. Somebody else has got to eat and keep them wanting to focus on everybody so that Joshua Josephs and James Pierce can still eat, right? Like you got to keep it balanced. Robert tunes in, says Deshaun Bishop looked awesome. So he agrees with you. Nobody agrees with me on the show. That's fine. Tyree laid the wood on that fumble. Got somebody. Finally, somebody. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Tyree is a dog, and he's actually he had a great bowl game, and now he's carried that over into this season. I think you're going to hear a lot about Tyree West, and Omari Thomas even had a nice pass breakup. I mean, everybody played great, man. It's Chattanooga. We did what we needed to do. Let's refocus. Let's go beat NC State. You got anything to wrap up this recap?
Well, I was going to say one other guy that I would put is probably my number 2 on that list, and I'll go on the defensive side of the ball.
I'll say it.
Is Joshua Josephs.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were going to say Boo Carter.
No, but now Boo Carter down the road, he is going to be a starter because of what he can do. But no, Joshua Josephs, and I think he's going to really eat this year because people are going to be focusing on James Pierce Jr. And Joshua Josephs is going to come on that opposite side. And he came a lot of times yesterday unblocked off the edge and made some plays. And even if he didn't get the tackle, it led to people like Tyree West or Omari Thomas or Omar Norman Lott, who was back there a lot yesterday. It's going to lead to a lot of disruptions on that opposite side from James Pierce Jr.
Yes, sir. Well, final thoughts on the recap before we move this thing on to segment 2.
Just took care of business, man.
Yep.
Really, really did what we needed to prepare for NC State.
Right on. Well, without further ado, we're going to move this thing on to segment 2, in which that is sponsored by P&L Business Services. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. Guys, reach out to them if you feel like this is a need. Go to pnlbusinessservices.com. It's as easy as you see it on the screen. Just add .com to it. It'll take you straight there, and you'll get in touch with somebody and get you taken care of. Thank you so much, P&L, for your continued support and sponsoring our segment 2. Michael, I'm going to let you kind of take control of this segment. What do we got going on today?
Yeah, so we're going to do a little NC State preview, and we've got some good friends joining us that are in the College Huddle with us. We have got Evan from the Red and White podcast that's going to be joining us. Evan, how you doing, man?
I'm good, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us, man. We got to talk a little bit back earlier about some basketball towards the end of the season. NC State had a fantastic run there towards the end, but now we get to talk about some football, and I can't be more excited about it.
Yeah, it should be fun. We've had a good year in all things. Started off football a little slow, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So, NC State, you brought that up right there against Western Carolina. They did start off a little bit slow. You end up getting the win there. What were some of your overall thoughts from that game?
Yeah, not great. If we're being honest, it was not impressive. It was not what anybody was expecting. But at the same time, and I went over this on our pod, I won't rattle off all the stats, but Dave Doran has not done well in season openers. And I mean, they've won most of them, but they haven't performed well. We had this thing last year. I was thinking about it while listening to y'all talk. Last year against UConn, right? We started slow, and we actually had the whole game was not great. It was very similar to our first half here. It took us about 4 or 5 games to finally settle in and actually start playing. And we finished the back half of the year pretty good. Won 6 in a row until the bowl game. Went 9-3. This year didn't take us 4 games. I thought the second half was a lot better than the first half. And I honestly think it wasn't an indication of what this team is. I think it was more of an indication of, hey, they've been looking forward to Tennessee for 6 months and just looked right past Western Carolina, weren't really focused, which is kind of why they were sloppy. And, yeah, I mean, I just don't think it was a great indication, and maybe that's just being optimistic, but I expect better this weekend. Next weekend.
No, right on. I do want to talk about, look, I ain't here. I didn't really watch the game completely, but me and the boys, we play a little bit of college fantasy, and y'all got a dog on the offense at wide receiver, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name, but I just feel like a dude's something to be reckoned with and something that everybody should be taken seriously, even if they don't really pose a big threat, at least in the first week of the season, as far as scoring a lot of points. But tell me a little bit more about him. How long he's been with the program? Is this kind of what y'all expected out of him this year?
Yeah, Casey Concepcion is who you're referring to. It's first
Yes,
team
sir.
Freshman All-American last year, first team All-ACC. He was everything for us. He was our entire offense. He was our leading receiver. He was our leading rusher. And if he had thrown more pass attempts, he probably would have been our leading passer too. I mean, he was literally everything. And it took them, like I said, we started playing better second half of the season, and that's when they realized, hey, he's the best player in the field. Get him the ball, right? And it sort of played out like that in this game, where in our past game against Western, where we had some guys dropping balls and looking not kind of interested. I don't really know what it was, and when they needed something, they went to him, and he delivered. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns in this game. I didn't expect him to have the volume he did this game, just because we added so many options this year in the offseason that I thought it would spread around a little bit. But again, he's the safety net when you need something. They came back to him, and he's unbelievable. And he was not expected to be this good out of high school. I mean, he was highly rated, but he was like our 4th wide receiver on the board. And for NC State, it's not like Tennessee. We're not fishing in the same ponds where you guys are pulling 5 stars.
It wasn't like
he
that.
was not super.
I want to make that
super.
That's like 2 years ago.
On our board.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But he's been phenomenal, and he's everything. He can do it all, and he's so reliable. And one of the ACC guys called him. They compared him to Percy Harvin. I don't think he's got the top end speed of Percy Harvin, but he's that dynamic of a player. Like he finds a way to make you miss. He does all the good things. Yeah, he's everything to us right now.
And Skylar, a guy that I compared him to, it's one that we know, and honestly, NC State fans probably know just because of what he did to NC State last time they played. Cordell Patterson.
Don't say it.
You would, yeah, I was gonna say you would. My man looking like he's playing EA College Football 13 or whatever year.
Oh, dude, I was at that game, and we were amped up, and David Emerson was our All-American corner. And he bit on every double move Patterson threw at him and just could not. It was God.
The problem with Patterson is he'll give you a double move, but then he'll give you a triple and a quad, and then he'll give you...
that guy was he was a nightmare. He's nightmare fuel, is what they say.
Yeah, and he's still playing in the NFL right now. Honestly, I don't know how, dude. That
does everything just like he was doing at UT.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but it sounds like y'all kind of got that guy too. So
yeah,
we do. Yeah, I mean, it's a good comp. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good comp. He's probably not as big as Cordell, but he's every bit as dynamic. Yeah.
That's a good one, Michael.
Yeah. So a question I have for you is because in that game against Western Carolina, and you mentioned it, could it be just kind of sleepwalking a little bit, kind of looking ahead to Tennessee, whatever? Has the offensive line been a little bit of a concern through fall camp? Because it looked like Western Carolina did get a little bit of push throughout the night during that game.
We did absolutely nothing offensively and I know they didn't want to put anything on film, and they felt they could just basically do the basics and push past Western. And honestly, pass protection was really good. They graded out from PFF as the highest pass protection in week 1, right, across the country. They were 94.6. Running the ball, abysmal. Like I don't know what the difference is. And it's mostly short yardage situations. We have a tendency to put in some undersized tight ends and undersized fullbacks and try to run, 22 set. And it's just, if you go back and look at the film, just unsuccessful every time. So I'm hoping they don't do that. Hoping they were just kind of experimenting with Western Carolina. The offensive line itself, having gone back and watch it, I don't think it was as bad as we thought. And then obviously PFF grade for the passing, it was actually really good. The run game has to be better, right? But this has been a story we've been dealing with for 5-6 years now under Dave Doran. Just the run game is not what we expect it to be every year. We thought adding Jordan Waters from Duke, proven back with proven production, would be the difference. And even he started out slow. He looked sluggish. I'm not sure what it was. Late in the game, he ran much better, held onto the ball. It was hard to tackle, hard to bring down. But early on, man, just in short yardage situations, just very odd, their inability to run. And I don't put it on the offensive line. I put it more on the scheme and kind of who they're rolling out there, to be honest.
Right on. So I kind of want to shift a little bit of the talk kind of to the matchup. Tennessee, NC State, neutral grounds, which I think both fan bases are going to travel very well to this game. What are some of the things that maybe from week 1 to week 2, obviously great teams make those big leaps from week 1 to week 2. What are some of those leaps that you're hoping that NC State can make, even though they're facing obviously a tougher opponent in Tennessee?
That's a good question, man. I honestly want to see them clean up the dumb stuff. All right, we've had a bunch of dumb stuff. We had a touchdown call back because one of our linemen was blocking somebody downfield. I mean, it was nowhere part of the play. Just absolute ridiculous. It's a stupid rule, first of all, but it's absolutely ridiculous that he was doing it. He was just up there, up in his grill, and he just plowed the guy 10 yards down the field. And they called a ineligible downfield, pulled it back. Right. We had some ball control issues, just not being sound with running the rock and holding on to it. And then Grayson McCall just needs to settle down. He admitted in the post game that he was kind of amped up. He was a little nervous. Being his first game back in a while, first game for NC State, first game at Carter Finley in front of 60,000. Like he wasn't as sharp as what you expect, but going into it, and I said this on our post game pod, like I don't expect, he's got enough on his resume that I'm not worried about him. He's like the 7th or 8th thing I'm worried about on my list. There's other things that I want them to clean up. I want them to play more sound. I want them to hold on to the ball. And then, honestly, defensively is what worries me the most. Tennessee's got a high-powered offense, athletes all over the field. We are breaking in some new.
I think he just completely cut out there, but I think what he's getting at is he's seeing, I think, there he is. Some of the mismatches, right? I was just going to continue. You broke out there for a second.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Yeah. I think more on the defensive side of the ball is what I want to see, right? We need to see improvements. We're breaking in a bunch of new linebackers, and they weren't sharp. We've been historically, when we're successful, we're gang tackling, and we had a lot of solo tackles. We had a linebacker. Our outside linebacker had 1 tackle, and one of our cornerbacks was our leading tackler. Now, we did sit back mostly in cover 3 and let Western Carolina just throw everything they wanted underneath. But yeah, to me, like I need to see defensive improvement there. I need to see them be more aggressive, which I think we'll see, right? I think that was all in 100% intended scheme, but the guys weren't sharp, and they need to tighten that up.
Yeah, right. That's the good and the bad of playing maybe a weaker foe in week 1. Yeah. As you kind of find out, do you have a team that's going to lock in and be ready, even though it is a weaker opponent? Kind of like us with Chattanooga, like you're winning the game. It's at that point how bad you're going to beat them, but like staying locked in, play by play, being able to do that. You kind of find out early on what the team's going to respond to, right? Whether they're going to be that way, or if they're looking ahead, which I do think in this instance, possibly they were looking ahead to Tennessee, because I do think that is probably the game that everybody circles, right? In the off season, like that Tennessee game 100%. Right there. That's the one. That's the, we're ready to go for that one. And then in the meantime, you look right over, the opponent that y'all faced, but it's all good. I mean, I think y'all's defense is going to be not just more locked in, ready to rock and roll. I think you like you mentioned, you're going to be a lot more creative too. You're not going to be, showing some looks pre-play. You're going to be throwing some decoys out, right? Making it look like it's cover 2, but in reality, you're doing cover 4 press. Y'all are going to be throwing some different things, and we have a young quarterback. So it's going to be, a little bit challenging on him, especially if y'all throw that, especially if you add in some blitz as well. I think y'all are going to definitely be throwing that at us. And I'm not putting a lot of stock into week 1, especially that game week 1, because I don't think that's the NC State we're going to be seeing here next week.
Yeah, 100%.
No, and I agree. Like the difference to me is, obviously Tennessee was sharp. I watched the first half, turned the game off. It was manslaughter. But the difference to me is Tennessee's got the athletes where they can cruise and just blow people out. Right? We're not there yet. We're not a big program. We're getting better. The foundation's been laid, and each year they're making kind of incremental improvements, but we're not on that level that we're just going to roll out of bed and beat somebody 69-3. Like, I don't care who it is, especially not a top end FCS team. I mean, Western Carolina led the nation in 7 offensive categories last year. So they returned pretty much everybody. So they know what they're doing, right? They schemed it up well, and they schemed up what we were doing. But yeah, we didn't bring any edge pressure. Tony Gibson loves to blitz his corners, loves to bring the safeties up. Didn't do that at all against Western, but we will 100% be doing that this week against Tennessee. Like that's just how the defense operates under Gibson. That's where the pressure is going to come from.
Yeah. So we've got a fantastic question here from one of our viewers, Robert Mackenberg. He's a day one viewer of us. As an SEC fan who doesn't follow the ACC closely, what are some of the expectations from the fans for the Wolfpack? Going 9-3 last year, are they expecting an appearance to the ACC championship this season?
Yeah, really good question. I think
Thank you, Robert.
we have leveled up our expectations sort of every year, and I think this year, now one of the first years without divisions, it's right for us to finally get over the hump and make the ACC championship game. I think our schedule sets up. It's a super easy schedule. We can lose this game; doesn't mean anything to us.
Exactly. Yeah.
But from a league perspective, everything is set up for us to make the ACC championship game. And I actually think we match up pretty well with whoever's going to be there. Although Miami looked really good, as one of your callers, your chatters pointed out earlier. But yeah, I think we've leveled up our expectations, and it's leveled up our roster too. This offseason, we hit the portal well. They brought in a ton of talent to fill in positions of need last year. Last year, we were underwhelming at the skill positions, just dramatically everywhere, all of them. We had one player, like I said earlier. We just had one guy that would do it all. But this year, we brought in a bunch of new talent. We got a couple high school recruits, highly rated high school kids. We brought in Noah Rogers, a former 5-star from our area, from Ohio State, who wasn't getting on the field, he's unbelievable, but just couldn't get on the field at Ohio State. Who can blame him there, right?
Yeah.
Jordan Waters, we brought in from Duke, a proven running back. We've kind of developed some other guys behind him. So they're kind of building up the positions that we didn't have before. And then Justin Jolie from UConn, absolute freak at tight end. And I think he actually torched y'all last year too. He's that good. Yeah. Even for, playing at UConn, he was just that good of a player. So we have a ton of options on offense, and that has helped level up all of NC State fans' expectations. The defense, replacing Peyton Wilson, one of the best, if not the best defensive player in the country last year. It's going to be a learning curve, and how fast can they get over it? Because we got Tennessee, we got a scrub, and then we got Clemson. So they need to figure it out. But I think it has changed our expectations. I think our program is slowly evolving upwards in the direction that we all want to see. So yeah, I think, to answer his questions, I think the expectations are at least 9-3, and making the ACC championship is probably baseline for a lot of people.
I want to quickly point out, Florida tends to make a lot of teams on the first game of the season look really good. If you haven't found out, I love to hate on Florida. Look, I'm serious. Utah, right? Look, they lost to Utah, and Utah wasn't really anything impressive. Now they did lose a quarterback there in that stint, but anyways, I digress. But I will say this: I think the opportunity is there for NC State. You look at other teams across the ACC, wasn't a wow factor by any chance in week one. I mean, you look at Clemson. It's Clemson. Dabo, unfortunately, his lack of being able to adapt to the modern college football era. Right. He's still stuck in 2015, 2016. He's not adapting whatsoever, and I think that's going to be the death of his coaching era. You look at Florida State, all the hype after last year, getting kind of snubbed in the playoff, and then just dropping an egg. I mean, not literally, but like just falling in week one or week 0 technically to Georgia Tech. We'll see what they have in store Monday night. They play on a Monday, don't they? They have the wackiest start to a season whatsoever. Playing in week 0, then playing on a Monday of week 1, and now you got short rest for week 2. But either way, I think the opportunity for NC State is absolutely there. And what I will say about y'all's athletic department, which I don't know a ton about, but I can just see from a national perspective, we've seen it firsthand. Other teams in the athletic department help build the rest. Yes. So when you have a basketball team that does what they did last year or this, a couple months ago, you're going to see that help improve everybody else at the program. I mean, whether you see it in the baseball team, whether you see it in the football program, the soccer program, it doesn't matter. We've seen it firsthand at Tennessee. Rick Barnes has kind of been our steady weight at, as far as keeping a program up. And then you've seen Tony Vitello finally come through getting the World Series win, and now you're starting to see that pay off even in the football landscape. And so, what NC State's doing in other sports as well as football, I mean, it's not like y'all are in the dumps in football either. It's just y'all haven't gotten over the hump to get to the SEC championship. And I think y'all have at least laid the foundation there. I think if y'all get the right pieces, and who knows, maybe y'all get the right adjustments this year. And y'all, I mean, you talk about a week 1 performance that was underwhelming, right? It takes me back to our Hendon Hooker days against Pitt, where we had to take an overtime to beat a team like Pitt.
Right. And
then we turn around and beat Bama 1 month later. So, by all means, you win. The coach gets to take that and do the coaching. And now you go and attack Tennessee and throw the whole playbook at Tennessee, by all means.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's maybe it's the fan justification in my head, and our conversation on our side has been maybe it was a good thing, right? It was a good thing to get kicked in the balls and come out and have to respond. So you're not arrogant going into Tennessee and then get kicked in the balls by Tennessee, who's got much better athletes than Western Carolina, right? I mean, I think this is exactly what this team needed from that standpoint. And I expect a better performance against Tennessee. And Vegas does too. Y'all are only 6-point favorite. I thought that would have been 10. I think it'll probably go to 10 at some point. It's gonna
I may or may not have put my house on that 6.5, but
I don't blame you. That's what I told my friends. I was like, take Tennessee to cover a touchdown, and if they hit 10, take them back to hedge on the other side, right? I mean,
right on.
Yeah. But a question I have for you: North Carolina State wins the game if
they make it difficult for Nico, which I think they will. If they get it together offensively, I in the way what I mean by that is like Robert and I can come up with some crazy stuff, but he also can outthink himself, right? Trying to be the smartest guy in the room and come up with some crazy stuff. I think State's got the athletes to run with with Tennessee, but at least in the short term, they have to be disruptive to the Tennessee offense. They have to make Nico second guess, where he's supposed to go with the ball. And I think they will. I think they're going to disguise coverage. They're going to move guys around. It's just what we're known for. I think it's more on the defensive side of the ball. They've got to make it hard for Tennessee to, I mean, we can't give you 90 snaps and 69 points, 714 yards of offense. Yeah. Or 18 yards of offense. That's ridiculous, right? They can't do that. I think it's going to come.
Hey, you can read that again if you want. That's good.
No. I'm not talking about into existence. Yeah, so they just need to make it hard for Nico, and then that gives us a chance. I think Grayson McCall will settle down from what we saw in Carter Finley Thursday night. I think he will lean on Concepcion. I think he'll lean on Noah Rogers. And, I think we'll see a better performance on our side. But defensively, I think we've got to slow down.
Do you mind if I answer that, Michael? And I want you to answer it too. Yeah. Like, I get nervous about NC State if we go into second quarter, if we go into halftime, and they're keeping up touchdown for touchdown.
Yeah.
At that point, I get a little nervous because we have a true freshman quarterback, and I know he's going to make a mistake at some point. Mm-hmm. Like, I have that in the back of my mind. He's going to, because the dude's been literally perfect so far in his first 2 starts in the bowl game and then in this game. He's going to make a mistake. And if we're going punch for punch, if McCall and Concepcion, right? Concepcion. Mm-hmm. Yep, if they just lock in, and then maybe they get some help from a tight end or something underneath when we're doubling that guy. If they are just punching for punch, right? And into halftime and we're tied up maybe 17-17, whatever. I get a little nervous. I think at that point, NC State absolutely has a shot. But what about you, Michael? Like, what would be like the thing that NC State would do to make you nervous going into the second half or going into the fourth quarter?
Yeah, so I think Evan touched on a big thing. As long as they can disrupt Nico, maybe confuse him on some things. But I'm going to go with if the NC State offensive front can not stop Tennessee's defensive front, but if they can slow them down enough to where Grayson McCall has time to make decisions, then I think absolutely that Grayson McCall and those playmakers that Evan was talking about that they brought in this year, especially Concepcion, they can take advantage of a inexperienced and youthful secondary that I was saying I still don't have all the answers about. I think that they are really good at tackling this year where they haven't been in the last couple of years. But I think that there's still enough inexperience there that we saw yesterday, a few plays where there was some busted coverage. I did mention they've recovered well, which was great. But are they going to be able to recover that well against an FBS opponent like NC State? So I think if the offensive front, and I'll add in, tight ends and running backs because they're in with that pass blocking, if they can slow down Tennessee's front seven enough to give Grayson McCall time to make plays, then that's what has me nervous.
Yeah, right offensively, that's pretty much what I said on ours is, can we block James Pierce and the rest of them? That's going to come down to. Pass protection, I actually feel okay that they'll handle pass protection. Will they be able to generate any kind of push to run the ball? And then if not, how are they going to counter that? And
to further that point on the pass pro, I want to see McCall step up in the pocket because I do think our edges are going to get downfield. I think that's just inevitable. Can he step up in the pocket, give himself an extra second, and deliver the football under duress? And maybe not even a clean pocket. Can he still step up and have that confidence? And that is something I'm going to be looking out for. But Evan, I want to ask, and if you don't want to answer this, totally fine. But do you have a score prediction for the game this weekend?
I'm going to say 34-27, something like that. I think Tennessee probably wins. I mean. I think we put up a fight, but a lot of people on our side are confident, but it's just a tough matchup for us. I think Dave Dorn's never won in Bank of America Stadium. Weirdly enough,
that's a stat I didn't know. So.
Yeah, we got some random stats.
Yeah,
I think the Charlotte should be a home game for us, but I would like to see them perform a little better, but just. Not a thing we've typically done well is punch up, out of conference especially.
But you mentioned it earlier. You mentioned it earlier though. This game would be huge for you guys as far as the college football playoffs go. But it doesn't hurt you as far as the ACC goes. You can take this game here and build that into something for the ACC. And if you make that conference title game and win it, you're in the playoffs automatically at that point. So you can look at this game one of two ways, as far as, you can win the game and, let that build on what could be a really successful year, or you can lose the game and take that game to, give yourself some extra motivation to perform well during conference play.
Yeah, it's a perception game for us, right? I mean, I think that's how a lot of our fans are looking at it. They want to be able to punch with Tennessee and not get blown out, right? I mean, I think –
I think you're totally right. I was going to say, if you go into halftime, kind of the same. And my score prediction. There he is. He's back. We lost you there for a little bit, but yes, we got you on the whole punch for punch thing, and then that's when it cut out again.
Yeah, but, I think it's a perception game for us.
Yeah, it's like a measurable game. You want to see where you're at. Tennessee is back-to-back top 20 program. NC State's right there with us, but obviously there is a roster talent gap, and this is a chance for NC State to kind of prove how well they can handle that type of comparison. See if they can hold on. Because I do think NC State will give us problems. I think it's inevitable. We play terrible on week 2. That's our thing. I don't know why. Sometimes we squeak out a win, but it won't look pretty whatsoever. But no, Michael, I'm gonna let you kind of wrap up this thing, brother. I appreciate Evan. Thank you so much for coming on, brother.
Anytime, fellas.
Yes, Evan, you want to tell the folks where they can find you?
Yeah, Twitter @Red White Podcast is the best place to find anything we put out there. It all goes through there. That'll bring you to our website, podcast, YouTube channel, all those things. They're all about the same.
Yeah, right, and I've also got the Twitter and the YouTube linked in the YouTube comments here. You can also find both us and Evan and the Red and White Podcast at the College Huddle. That's where we found Evan, was the College Huddle. You can check out I believe it's 73 schools that are represented in FBS right now at thecollegehuddle.com. But you can go there and find pretty much any ACC, SEC team that you want, Big Ten. I mean, you can find all sorts of different podcasts there. But Evan, we really appreciate you coming on this week, and we're looking forward to the game this weekend.
Yeah, me too. Anytime, fellas.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care. So that is Evan from the Red and White podcast, giving us a little in-depth look at the NC State team for this coming weekend. So, Skylar, you ready to get into some week 2 predictions?
Yeah, man. Justin came in here. He's like, who can block Junior? Who can block James Pierce? I don't know. When we find out, we'll let you know. But it takes 2 or 3 folks. I'll tell you what, he was kind of quiet this week, but obviously he only had like 10 plays to really do anything. And you notice that they didn't run at him. They purposely run away from him. But Robert tunes in on YouTube. We appreciate you, Robert. Evan, thanks for coming on the show and giving us your perspective on the Wolfpack. Yeah, and that's why we do this, man. We really want to try to collab with a lot of folks. We got somebody lined up for Oklahoma already, and he'll give us some great insight as well. Look, we don't follow a lot of these teams, so we want to get some insight from somebody that does. And from people like us, we die hard. I mean, my blood type is Pantone 151C. Like that's. And we try to find other people that feel the same way about their team, so that way we can get a real visual, we get a real feel for what that fan. But you can tell in his voice, he is not happy about their week 1 performance whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
But he's having to tell himself, look, we called maybe 3% of our playbook on offense and defense, and we did that on purpose, not put anything on film. And he's hoping that here in week 2 that obviously they show a little bit more and give Tennessee something that we're going to have to fight with. Look, I'm not overlooking NC State whatsoever. I did predict a win. I think most people are going to predict a win. We should, because I'm telling you, if we lose to NC State, then we just put our coach in the hot seat. So, I mean, not really. But no, Vols time, he's on here. He says James Pierce will get his, and I hope it will start with Oklahoma. Yeah, I hope he beat the crap out of Oklahoma, I'll be honest. But EJ, new listener on the live at least, new commenter. Remember when Michael thought we were going to lose to NC State? I was waiting for this. Yes, remember when Michael thought we were going to lose to NC State before they struggled against Western Carolina so much that their starters were still in the 4th quarter? I remember. All right, so 1, we haven't won the game yet, so it could still happen.
Yeah.
But 2, does your mind change a little bit after that game? After both games, after seeing Tennessee, after seeing NC State, do you still feel the same way? We'll get into it because we still got to do our picks.
I was going to say, I'll get into that once we get to our picks here in the next segment. So,
Robert says, I was NC State the best starting week. Oh, I wish. I wish NC State the best starting week 3. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But without further ado, we're a little bit behind schedule, but we're trying to rock and roll for you guys. Let's get on to segment 3. You let us know who sponsors that segment.
Yeah, so our segment 3 sponsor is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at KaizenPainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So, week 2 predictions.
Yes,
I'll have the record up on the screen once we get to upset pick of the week. Skylar is slightly ahead.
Slightly.
That won't last very long. Going into the season a little bit, but we're gonna get right into our week 2 predictions.
What is the score, brother? What does slightly ahead mean? Come on, how many did I get right?
Well, I was gonna pull that record up once we got to the.
Oh, okay. So, you're better than I thought. Okay, my fault. Dude.
I've got it, brother. But
all right, so I'm starting off. I got Arkansas, Oklahoma State starting off. Is that what you got? Noon game on ABC Saturday.
Yeah, give me just a second. Boom, got it pulled up. I will say.
Oh, and you got the okay.
Yeah. So some of these lines are updated. Some of them there are no lines, and some of them the lines have changed. I'm actually pulling FanDuel up right now to see about updated lines. That's the one thing about Sundays is the lines normally don't come out until middle of the afternoon or later that evening. So sometimes we don't get the lines, but that line is accurate though. Arkansas is an 8.5 point underdog in this game to Oklahoma State. So Justin, I'm
him
cooking,
cook.
man. I'm cooking.
I know, like Justin's literally like your personal cheerleader. He never agrees with me on anything on the show, but it's fine. It's fine, dude. I know where you live, Justin.
I told you 2 weeks ago. That's my burner account, dude.
Yeah, well, yeah, I believe it. I'm starting to believe it day by day, honestly. Day by day. All right. 1% better. Let's get our picks rolling. We got Arkansas, who looked really good against a very bad opponent. Did they play Murray State? Who did they play?
They played Pine Bluff.
Pine Bluff. Worst team in America. Sorry. That's just, I'm putting it blunt, but the worst football team I've ever seen in my life. That was terrible. Their effort on every play was just absurd. They were truly there for whatever money they got in that game. That, like, nothing more, nothing less. They got on the bus. They went home. It was pretty sad to see. But look, credit to Arkansas. They came out firing. Petrino looked like he never left Arkansas. Got that thing rocking and rolling. I'm actually going to be taking Arkansas in this game. I'm rocking and rolling with
Arkansas.
I'm rocking and rolling. Feeling good. I'm feeling good about this pick.
So you're feeling good about Bobby Petrino there at Arkansas then, turning some things
around.
around.
I'm not gonna say feeling good. It's more of like I'm just not a huge believer in Oklahoma State and old Gundy out there.
That's fair.
They've lost some key pieces in which we've taken one big key piece on the corner. Obviously, McCoy out at Oklahoma State. No, that was Oregon State. I'm mixing up two different people. Sorry, colors are the same though. Sorry. I'm sorry. Either way, Arkansas looked pretty good. They are playing Oklahoma State on this one. I just like Arkansas. Look, there's not gotta be a rhyme or reason. All right, I'm taking Arkansas. You should love this. It should be an easy point for you, right?
Well, I mean, you act like you're trying to give it to me now, but look,
I'm not giving you anything.
But look, Arkansas this year, I do think after seeing that offense against Pine Bluff, you mentioned it. Pine Bluff is not very good. Arkansas did exactly what they needed to in that game. I told you a best bet last week was Arkansas is not even going to score 50 points in the game, and there they are putting up 70.
And that's why we're not listening to you on best bets anymore.
That's exactly right. That's why we got somebody else doing it. So, but listen, the Arkansas offense will be improved this year. I still don't know how much it changes things for Arkansas this year. I said back in the predictions, I think Oklahoma State's going to win this game. I still think they do. Oklahoma State played a really comparable opponent in South Dakota State. That is another FCS team that is year in and year out one of the best ones. I think they won the FCS championship last year, or they finished runner-up, something along those lines. So, and they took care of business, 44-20 against South Dakota State last week. I think Oklahoma State's just right now a little bit higher on the totem pole than Arkansas. So I am taking Oklahoma State to win this contest.
Thank you for giving me 2 points. I appreciate that. All right, dude. What you got next on the docket?
All right, so next is going to be a huge game this weekend, as it is Texas traveling to Ann Arbor to play against Michigan. The line when I checked earlier was -6.5. Let me see if it has moved any. It is still 6.5 for Texas in this contest.
That might be a best bet, brother. I think Texas wins this one pretty easily. Yeah, I was right with my gut in Georgia Clemson. I feel like I'm going to be right in my gut with Texas Michigan. I think Texas gets They didn't lose. They lost to Washington, didn't they? No, who did they play in the semifinal? Yes, they lost to Washington. Either way, I think Texas beat Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Justin is going to appreciate that because he is a Longhorn fan, but he also, he bleeds orange. It's not the right color orange, but he's here. So, it's goodbye my vote. So.
Yeah, this is not enough points. Texas win this one by as many as they choose. Quinn Ewers looked really good yesterday. The Texas defense looked good too. I know Colorado State is not a great opponent either, but they
scored like 40 on Colorado last year.
But it's
a team that was ranked top 10 in the EA college football game and defense. So I'm just saying, like, it could, You're right. You're 100% right.
Texas is another one of those teams out of just like a lot of SEC teams playing FCS opponents. They took care of business in yesterday's game, and they're going to take care of business against Michigan as Texas wins this game easily.
Easily. I love the confidence that we have in that pick. We're going to get trolled so hard if Michigan wins. It's all good. It's part of it, dude. It's part of it. The next one I've got on the docket is for 12:45 Eastern time on the SEC Network. You got McNeese, A&M. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this one. A&M's got this one, correct?
Yeah, A&M wins this one. There's still no line up. But yeah, Texas A&M wins this one. I will say there is some things that need improving on the offensive side of the ball for Texas A&M, but man, that defense for Texas A&M against Notre Dame, it looked really good. Notre Dame did end up pulling that one out. Both of us did pick that game correctly, but A&M is going to be stout on defense, just like most Mike Elko teams are. Got a little bit to work on the offense. I think they will do that going down the road this year. But Texas A&M gets this game against McNeese as a get-right game.
Wayman's got to protect the ball a little bit better, in my opinion.
Yes.
But other than that, yeah, they should be fine. What's the next one you got?
Yep, next game I got on the docket is at 2 o'clock Eastern time. That is Tennessee Tech against Georgia.
Next.
There it is.
Yep. I'm glad you did the graphic on this one, but yes, it's
Tennessee Tech's got this one, right?
I mean, if you want to, yes, thank you. I'm so glad you picked that. Y'all heard that on the record. Appreciate that. I'll take Georgia. All right, y'all have a good one.
Yeah, no, Georgia, they got off to a slow start yesterday against Clemson, but I never felt the game was in doubt.
They were toying with them, dude. They were trying to run the same 3 plays to see if it'd work, and then in the second half they had to run like 2 more, and then they won. So pretty easily. What was it? Like they scored on 5 straight possessions in the second half, scored like 28 or 31 points to Clemson's 6 or whatever. I don't even know. Like it was pathetic. 3.
Yeah,
Clemson didn't even score 3.
Yeah, but both of us said exactly how that game was going to turn out. They were just going to blow Clemson out, just like they did last year to Oregon, just like they did last year to Florida State.
Point, because we got some hate in the comments on that video, and I need to go back and like pay some respect to some of the folks that visited that video. I'm gonna be like, hey, how are we feeling today? Like, are we doing okay? Like, sorry, no, that's just the toxic side of me. But next game on the docket, I've got South. This is the only SEC game of the weekend. South Carolina versus Kentucky. This is gonna be 3:30 on ABC, and that nice theme music that they got. This is going to be at Kentucky, I believe. Correct?
It is, and the line has actually shifted. It has shifted a lot since the last time I looked at it.
That's because South Carolina about lost to Old Dominion.
I have got 7.5 on that graphic there. FanDuel updated odds. Kentucky minus 9.5.
I'm probably still taking Kentucky to cover on this game.
I think I agree with you on that one. As Kentucky, we didn't get to see a full game out of them, but we saw enough as it was weather delay. The game ended up getting called in the third quarter with Kentucky leading 31-0 over Southern Miss. But South Carolina showed me enough to know it's going to be just as long of a season as I thought it was going to be at the beginning. Kentucky wins this one by at least 2 scores.
Couple of comments to catch up on. Vols Tom tunes in. He's talking about the game tonight, which we predicted last week, but he says LSU will lose to USC. He's calling a shot. He thinks LSU will lose. I'm going to respectfully disagree. I do think that I have LSU winning this game just because I think Nussmeier's a little bit not seasoned, obviously. He's kind of new, but he's played. Like he's got a little bit of experience. And I know USC's defense is not so great. It's a lot like Colorado's. I compare them a lot alike. But I don't know. Maybe they will. They absolutely could. Each game, they start out 0-0. And honestly, LSU and USC are so similar. I mean, honestly, you could look in the mirror. If you didn't wear a uniform, you would see the same thing, honestly, in my opinion. Robert says, I'm selling all my stock on the Gamecocks. Beamer barely beats Old Dominion. Should have lost. I agree. This team is a mess. Kentucky is going to kick their butt. And he didn't say but we're family friendly here. So you can fill in the blank. I agree with him, but this is another one of those takes that, like, that's not a hot take. I think we all agreed. We did a segment earlier in the offseason where, what coaches are feeling it in the hot seat. And Shane Beamer was on that list, and I think you're starting to see why. There's no upward trajectory with this team. In fact, you might even be seeing the opposite right now. I don't know. We'll see. This game's going – I think this game is way more important for South Carolina than it is for Kentucky, but I don't think it helps them. I think Kentucky's going to roll. So.
Yep. So we both have
Vols time even agrees. Kentucky in a blowout.
Yeah. So we've all got Kentucky in this one. And also, I did have some folks say that they are going to kind of be picking along with us. Absolutely. Pick along with us. Let us know, how you did the week prior in the comments. I think most people had a pretty good record this past week just because of the games that were played. And
you got to submit the picks before the games are played. I just want to point that out.
I agree. I agree with that. That way we can look back on it. But
yeah, but I can't buy all y'all dinner like that. If you win, that's a crisp high five and have a good day. But like, I can't, I just don't have those pockets. I'm sorry, but no, absolutely pick along with us. It's a fun segment, and I think y'all should absolutely also do upset pick of the week with us. That is such a fun segment. So
yes, it is. But next game that I've got on the docket here, it is Cal traveling to Auburn. That game is at 3:30 Eastern time on ESPN2. Let's see. Auburn there is 11.5-point favorite, and they are still an 11.5-point favorite in this game. I don't really trust either one of these teams to score a lot of points. I think 11.5 might be too much, just because I think it's going to be a close game. We saw Auburn do what they needed to yesterday in their game. Cal struggled a little bit in their opening game, but I felt like it was more the opponent Auburn played than maybe Auburn just being that much improved, at least at this point in time. I do trust Hugh Freeze. I think he's going to turn his program around. I don't trust Peyton Thorne, but I am going to take Auburn to win this game close.
Okay, you have me set up to think that you're taking Cal. No, that's fine. Robert's going in on Shane Beamer, brother. He said Skylar, and he calls me out. I don't know why he's calling me out, but yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm listening. He said to play this poorly at home. He's talking about South Carolina here. Offense is stagnant. Their defense is horrible, ridiculous. This game was this close to Dominion. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. Vols time says I picked the under. What are you doing, Vols time? Picking the under in the Tennessee game and lost $5. So. Look, if you don't have the money to bet, please do not bet. Please bet responsibly. I had $5 on this game too. Not only did I take the over, I took Tennessee to cover as well, so I doubled my chance. I had a good payday. It was plus 200 odds. I tripled my money. I won $15. It was great. But no, how do you take the under, brother? Come on, man. Come on. It was only like 50-something points. You just – I was honestly thinking we were going to score about 45 and they were going to score 17. That's how I thought we were going to get it. Ended up being we scored 70, which is fine by me. Vols by 60, baby. Anyways, I agree with you. Auburn's going to win this game, I think. I just don't have a feel for Cal. I don't. But I liked what I seen out of Auburn, and I'm going to roll with them. Next game on the docket. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's the second of the doubleheader on SEC Network. It's 4:15 Eastern. It's Middle Tennessee versus Ole Miss. Jackson Dart with like a 6-touchdown, 600, 500-yard day, 418. I'm being so dramatic here. Jackson Dart looks pretty good. I think he's going to be in the Heisman talk pretty soon, but I take Ole Miss on this one.
Yeah, I take Ole Miss big in this one as well. Not a lot to say. MTSU is just not anywhere near the same level that Ole Miss is, and Ole Miss, just like many other teams, they took advantage or they took care of business in the game that they played, and they're going to take care of business against MTSU as well.
I agree.
Let's see. Next game that I have on the docket, there's 3 games in the 6 o'clock slot. This 70. One is, sorry. I'm in Central Time Zone. I keep forgetting that. I know. 7 o'clock Eastern Time. It is Samford against Florida. This one, Florida fans, if any of you are watching us, this game is on ESPN Plus. You will need an ESPN Plus.
Nobody wants to watch Florida
to
anymore,
watch this game. This is Florida's one guaranteed win this year.
Is it?
I think it is.
Graham Mertz is in concussion protocol. All right. No, I'm joking. I think you're right.
Yeah, we talked about during our Florida prediction. Samford is the one guaranteed win because your non-conference games this year are Miami, UCF, and Florida State to go along with Samford. UCF impressed yesterday. Miami just spanked the crap out of you, and Florida State, I think, is going to pull some things together. I predicted
them to beat Florida State. All right. I'm giving at least one of them to Florida, but now Florida wins this game. I ain't spending too much time on it.
Yeah, I agree. Florida wins this one.
EJ said, remember when Sanford almost beat them in 2021? I do not remember that.
Was that Sanford that did that? I did not remember that it was Sanford. I do remember somebody almost beating them.
So I know EJ personally. He knows ball, dude. So he's going to throw some stuff at us that we might not know. And I think this is the first one where he comes out of nowhere and just like, who remembers that game? Who watches Florida Sanford in 2020? Whatever. EJ, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for tuning in and watching. But no, I don't remember that. I might have to go look it up now. But we both got Florida in this game, correct?
Yes.
The second game I have in this same time slot is Buffalo versus Missouri. That is going to also be on the SEC Network Plus. So you got to have that paid subscription to watch this game. Not spending a lot of time on it. Missouri by as many as they choose. They looked really good in week 1 as well.
They did. They looked impressive.
They got a clear game plan and feeding Luther Burden. And that's what they should do. I mean, he's the best player on the field. So
yeah, and Theo Wees, I wasn't sure if he was going to be on the field or not. Got into some off-field trouble not too long ago. He did play. I think he is the clear-cut number 2, and I didn't. Now, I will admit, I did not watch this game as closely as I kind of wanted to, just because I wanted to see what Missouri looked like. But, Robert says the defense looked solid, better than I thought, considering their defensive returning production was a concern. That, and also the defensive coordinator going to LSU. That was a part of it as well. But I think Missouri's going to be just fine this year. And plus their schedule really helps them out this year. But Missouri definitely beats Buffalo in this game.
Right on. EJ says, I remember because Florida set a school record of offense because that was the only way they could win. Defense just couldn't stop them at all. Yeah. All right. So that sounds like an exciting game too. I'm going to definitely got to look that up. That's crazy. Thank you, EJ, for that. Yeah, I got Missouri. I already said I got Missouri. So next one.
Next game in this time slot, it is going to be Alex Golish and South Florida.
Hold up. Got a question.
Okay.
Is Jalen Milroe playing or is he getting benched?
Oh, Milroe's playing.
All right. You didn't get that joke, did you?
I did get that joke.
Okay. I was like, I thought that went right over your. All right. Give me Bama by $1 million.
Yeah. Well, I won't say by $1 million.
Don't give me this. Don't. Ain't picking USF. Don't even.
I'm not picking USF.
Okay.
Alabama's going to win the game, but I think that
it is second year under the guy that was one touchdown
away. I think that Alex Golish with that offense, I think he's going to give Bama some problems, but Alabama's not going to be in any fear of losing this game. But I will say, Alex Golish called his shot back earlier. He was asked.
They get to play us.
Yeah, he was asked the question, how do you feel about playing Alabama? And was it Florida State? Was that the other one?
I don't know.
I don't remember who the other team was, but he was like, what do you mean? They get to play us.
Yeah, that was great. All right, so I got a good comment for you here from Vols Time. We appreciate you guys for watching, man. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have stayed consistent in the YouTube chat. We appreciate that so much because we know our shows are long, but we only do one a week, and we really do appreciate y'all staying here. Do you believe that Ole Miss is overrated? Now, somebody didn't watch my prediction video of Ole Miss. No, not a bit. I think they're one of the best teams in the country, and I think they could. And I predicted them to go undefeated this year. So, no, I don't think they're overrated. I think they're the real deal. And I've explained in my prediction segment why I feel that way. Now, obviously, y'all are going to come back at me when they lose the first game, if they lose the first game, and say, you were wrong. And that's fine. But look at what Ole Miss has done in the offseason. You look at Lane Kiffin's history. He's not been able to win the big game. And I'm hoping – not that I'm hoping. I don't really care. But, I'm predicting that this is the year that he changes it around and gets that big win over a team like Georgia. And I don't think they're going to win at all, but I do think they do run the table in the regular season.
That's
Robert says, hate to say it, but Bama looked good. Offense and defense was rolling. Yes, they did. They took care of business too. Michael sure don't think they're overrated. He's a Lane fan. But you didn't predict them to go undefeated like I did. So that's why I kind of stepped in and was like, nope, not a bit. I think Lane Kiffin's I think Ole Miss is legit this year. There are some teams, real quick, while we're doing our picks, let's take 2 seconds. There's some blatantly overrated teams right now in the top 10. Who's yours?
who's even in the top 10 at this point.
Okay, sorry. Mine's Notre Dame. Stupidly overrated. Yes, they went, I guess, toe-to-toe with A&M, who is also overrated. There's no way A&M's a top 20 team. They're just a Cinderella of off seasons. They're always ranked somehow, even though it doesn't matter how they did their season before. Both those teams are overrated. Notre Dame got a great win, yes, but they are not the 7th ranked team in the nation. I just don't buy that 1 second. That's, anyways. If you don't know off the cuff, that means that means okay. Look, Vols time. Let's keep this rolling because Vols time says that means Kiffin will be the. What's that?
I do know one of the teams in the top 10, and I'm actually going to pick this team. It is Michigan. Michigan is absolutely overrated.
There it is. There it is. There you go. All right, fair. Now we can move past that and say that means Kiffin will be the next Gators coach. Dude, we've been calling that since the last game of last year. Like we know this. Like this is no surprise. We absolutely think Robert. You stole Robert's answer, you liar. That's what you did. You seen Robert's comment.
I honestly didn't know he commented.
Robert, he took your pick. Robert, you get him for copyright. I'm joking. All right, let's get the rest of these picks wrapped up. The next one I got on the docket is your boys, NC State, Tennessee, 7:30 on ABC. Come on, man. Give me the Vols by a million. Give me the Vols, baby.
Yeah, so you asked me the question back earlier, or somebody in the comments asked the question.
No, you got to stay true. You got to stay true to your prediction.
We both know that's not true. I was asked how I felt about this game after this past weekend. I do feel a lot better about Tennessee in this game, but I felt good about it the whole time. I literally picked NC State in the predictions to be different because I've got Tennessee beating Oklahoma. And I really didn't see any other loss on the schedule besides Georgia for Tennessee. I could have gone 11-1, but I didn't want to put those type of expectations, so I put 10-2 down. I put NC State to be different. I knew the Vols would beat NC State the whole time. I still think that.
You lying. You could have chose Bama. You could have chose Florida. You lying, brother. Why'd you think no?
What? You get both of those games at home. You get both of those games at home. NC State.
I mean, yeah, but those are way better programs. But all right, whatever. That's fine. It's whatever.
But NC State is it's not a true road game, but it is on the road. It is a neutral site game.
Look, I didn't want to say. I don't want to disrespect NC State whatsoever, and I love doing the show. I mean, there's a good chance there's more Tennessee fans at this game than NC State fans. Like, let's just be honest here. I don't know that. I don't know ticket sales, but I mean, I was on Vol Navy and like they were all going. Like everybody I was talking to was like, "Yeah, I got tickets. I got 2 extra. You want to go?" And I was like, I might actually want to go. Like, I got his information, and we'll see if it lines up. Let's see, Vols time. I'm picking the over this time. What is the over at? Is it?
Let's see.
Be careful. They'll get you from week 1 to week 2.
58.5.
I could see that. I could see Tennessee scoring like my record prediction or my score prediction is like 38-21. I could see that.
Dude, you've got it right on the number. That's 59 right there.
Yeah, I got 38-21. So, yeah, go for it. Justin, yeah, I get it. See, he's going against you, and that's your boy. He's backpedaling. Yep, he is.
Hey, that's why we do a season prediction and why we do week by week predictions, baby. Because we
make corrections.
I will go ahead and tell you and calling my shot now. You're going to do the exact same thing in 2 weeks when we do Oklahoma's. Don't be sitting there saying you're not going to.
Nah, I don't know. Oklahoma looked all right. Look, Oklahoma looked all right. I don't know about that. All right, look, Nicole State, LSU, 7:30 on the SEC Network Plus. LSU, Nicole State. I'm taking LSU by a million on this one, right?
Yeah, I thought I had the graphic for them, but I'm not seeing
it.
And
it's regardless if they win or lose tonight. Like Nicole State's a non-power 4 whatever program. So even if they lose tonight to USC, I'm still taking that team to win against Nicole State. If you don't have the graphic, shame on you. That's fine.
Yeah, I thought I had it, but no.
Just use LSU and we'll move on to Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt is the hot new team on the block. So
yeah, I'm taking LSU in that one, but I do have Vanderbilt's graphic. So
well, of course, they are the MVP of the SEC this year or this week. Sorry, not this year. But yeah, shout out. I'm glad he brought up Virginia Tech, by the way, because Vanderbilt beat Virginia Tech last week. Ruined my 25-game parlay, in which I got 24 of them right. And not Vanderbilt, dude.
Yeah, there's the LSU one, by the way. So,
nice. Thank you. Vanderbilt, I'm taking Vanderbilt. Vandy is back.
Yeah, so, all right. Question about Vanderbilt. All right.
What?
So,
is it not weird that Alcorn's logo is like Vanderbilt's, but upside down and a different color? And all right, never mind.
Vandy just copyrighted it.
And
turned it
all
upside
right.
down.
It's fair enough.
No, but question about Vanderbilt. So, I feel like after seeing that performance yesterday, that Vanderbilt is going to compete better than I thought they would in the ACC. Matter of fact, sitting here today, I'm going to pick Vanderbilt over South Carolina when they play. But my question for you is, with them beating Virginia Tech yesterday, as long as they take care of at least the other 3 non-conference games, is Clark Lee's job saved after yesterday's game?
Too early to tell. It's a great win. He saved him from being on the hot seat in week 2 is what he did. But it's too early to tell. I have no idea. One, because I don't think, even though they got a decent quarterback, good defenses are going to zone in on that and take away. They're going to spy whatever they need to do. I don't see that being a game plan that you can take in, week out, and predict good results or project good results. I think somebody's going to key on that quarterback at some point. He's a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but like most players, like James Pierce Jr., you get focused on, and it's going to hurt Clark Lee a little bit. But yeah, even Robert comes in and says, great win for Vandy. And it is. I'm not taking anything away from that. It's great for Clark Lee. Very emotional coach. You can tell he wears his heart on the sleeve. That team needed a boost. Virginia Tech, go back to the ACC. Yeah, man, Virginia Tech, man, that's rough for Virginia Tech. But no, tips off to Vanderbilt. I'm taking Vanderbilt to win.
Yep. So next game I have on the docket.
Shoot.
Oklahoma is hosting Houston. This game is at actually, I believe this is at 7:45 Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 7:45 Eastern time on SC Network. Oklahoma, at least as of earlier, yes, it's still a 27.5 point spread on this one. Oklahoma wins. I think they cover in this one. Houston just doesn't have the horses to keep up with Oklahoma.
My second 25-game parlay that got 24 correct. Houston dropped the ball against UNLV, I think. So thank you, Houston. Appreciate that. Hate you for it. It's all good. I mean, I try to do that. I know you're like 25-game parlay is crazy. What I do is I just bet the
money
favorites on. Exactly. Bet the favorites on the games that you think that are, should win. And you bet $2 and you win 10. Like, I thought it was a great deal there, but nope, they got me. Thank you. Mississippi State, Arizona State for the game nightcap. It's I think it's at Arizona State. It's 10:30 Eastern on ESPN.
And this game, the line has actually moved up 2 points as Mississippi State is now a 5.5 point dog instead of a 3.5 point dog.
That's totally fine because I'm taking Mississippi State to win, so that's fine.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I didn't get to watch a ton of the game yesterday.
Did we disagree on any of these?
Yeah, we disagreed on the Arkansas-Oklahoma State game.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'm just making sure that we disagreed on one because I was about to change my pick. Something like, all right. I'm just making sure. All right, perfect. Yeah, Mississippi State's raw. I mean, look, we know, Jeff Lebby came in there and we thought that was going to be an explosive offense, and it is. And I think that's going to pay dividends against Arizona State.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I didn't see how Arizona State did yesterday. I see they did win the game. Played against they took care of business against Wyoming, won 48-7. I still think I like Mississippi State a little bit more than I do Arizona State.
I'm being SEC biased. I'll just tell you straight up. That's why I'm taking Mississippi State. Dude, that's going to wrap up our pick segment. And now we've got the new segment. It is segment 4, and it's a new thing, so bear with us. All right, it's going to be a fun one though. This segment is sponsored by Reed Bryant State Farm. Whether you're looking for auto, home, renters, or life insurance, Reed Bryant provides you with personalized coverage options that fit your unique requirements. Their team is always available to answer any questions you may have and assist you in finding the perfect insurance solutions. At Reed Bryant State Farm, they understand the importance of safeguarding what matters most to you. so you can focus on enjoying the game without the worrying of unexpected events. To reach out to Jake directly, you can reach him at jake@easttninsurance.com or give their office a call at 865-457-1505. And without further ado, this is the new edition. We're going to bring on our guy Jake from State Farm, but he's not Jake from State Farm, if you get me.
Absolutely.
If you get me. Jake, how are we doing, brother?
Hey, we're doing well, guys.
You got Jake from State Farm behind you, though.
You gotta have company. Gotta have company.
No, right on. Right on, dude.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining the show. Tell us a little bit about you and your location there in Clinton.
Yeah. So, we have been working here for about 4 months now. Our staff, we've got a smaller staff, but Reed's opened up about 1st of April, and we've just been chugging along, and got to meet Skylar and, Michael, talking to him a little bit, before the show. So it's been great kind of meeting everybody, but, we thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of talk more ball and get to see things. But, a little bit about my background before I give y'all some picks. I come from a coaching background. I used to do a little bit of coaching at Tennessee, worked as a student manager for about 2 years under Butch with a special teams spot, and that transitioned into a partial scholarship. So shout out to Max, Frage, and all of them, Hawk. All of them have been great to me. So that's a little bit of my background, what I think makes me qualified for doing what I'm doing. But it's great, and so I'm super excited for it. But went over and got to coach a little bit under Pruitt's staff as essentially a GA as an undergrad, focused on some DB work, and worked out at a JUCO for a little bit, coaching linebackers at, if y'all ever watched Last Chance U over at East Mississippi Community College, worked there during the COVID year. So had a blast and really got to enjoy my time. So all in all, just here to give y'all some picks and hopefully get some insight. Never really got to do it. This was all pre-NIL, fellas. So I'm excited to share a little bit of what I've seen now, and hopefully, I was joking with them before the show, but hopefully we can get to a point where I'm not sweating and 0-5 for my next picks. So we'll see how to go. But yeah,
hey, just know if it does go 0-5, I'm eating canned food the next week. So just keep that in mind. But no, we'll get to those picks in a segment, man. I brought you on. We're gonna have you sit through our upset pick of the week pick. That's gonna come first. And then we're going to go to you for it's Raking with Jake. That's what we're going with. That is the title. Guys, if y'all are still watching, let us know if that's catchy. If y'all don't like it, tough. It is what it is. All right, Raking with Jake. We're going to get to that. But upset pick of the week, Michael, did you pick first last? I think I picked first. So I'm going to let you go first this week, Michael.
All right,
so there he is.
Yeah, so first, before I give mine, I will give the updated standings. Sorry, we'll probably block Jake just a little bit, but
I'm so glad you were reminding the folks of who just. Oh man, it's not even close. It's a runaway train, brother. It is.
Jake picking up a little bit. But after week 1, Skylar only missed 1 game. Now, we still don't have LSU and USC, as we mentioned last week. That'll come tonight, but we both picked LSU anyway, so it's not going to change much. But Skylar got his upset pick game last week. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston
over Rice.
You don't lose the food, brother.
I did get 1 point on the cover of Colorado State against North Dakota State against Colorado. North Dakota State should have won that game, but that's separate.
You're just a salty loser. That's all it is.
There you go.
You're
just salty. That's all it is, brother.
When it comes to this, yes, because there's a round of golf on the line. So, but anyway, this week, I was kind of teetering between 2 games. I'm glad now that the Mississippi State line is up above where I could pick it, but I'm going to pick BYU over SMU this week. This is a Friday night game. BYU right now is an 11.5-point underdog in this game. I think that SMU has started off the season kind of shaky. Don't know exactly what they're going to look like down the road, but I think BYU has shown they showed just enough in week 1 to make me trust them a little bit more. I've also talked to some guys from BYU, seeing how they feel about their team. they said that they like this matchup. So I'm going to take BYU over SMU in this game.
I like it. I looked at that game. I liked it. I think SMU's a solid team. So I had a hard time to go against it. But I like it. I respect it. And that is a 5-point play, is it not? That's
it is.
Yes, sir. It's about time you freaking go big because you've been going like super, reserved and conservative last year at least. I don't know how you did it the first week, but either way, I respect it. My pick for upset pick of the week, in which I am 2 for 2 to start this season. I am so proud of it too.
We didn't do one for week 1. You just bet on it.
But we were both on the record on this. Okay, we were both on the record on this. I am 2 for 2 personally. I'm 1 for 1 on the show. It's fine. My pick to keep it rolling, I'm taking Tulane over Kansas State. That is a 10.5-point dog to Kansas State. So that's a 5-point play because your boy, he goes for it all. All right. Tulane obviously had a little bit of turmoil over the offseason. I think they replaced a head coach too. I could be wrong on that, but I think they did. But either way, I'm feeling it. Kansas State's ranked, by the way, so this would be a pretty good upset. But I'm taking Tulane all the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So both of us got some 5-point plays coming for this week.
That's right. So without further ado, it's raking with Jake. Now he disappeared, but I'm gonna try to bring him back on, and there he is. It's raking with Jake. I don't know what happened there, but he's back, and it's about that time, brother. What are some of the best picks we can have on the betting world?
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I mean, I think the biggest one, we talked about it. I like 2 of them. Going back, you all already covered the Auburn minus 11.5. I thought that one was a give me. I saw it at one point at 10.5, and then I think it's kind of slowly crept up when I watched it. So that kind of tells you what the general public thinks. But my personal opinion, I mean, I looked at the last year's box score. Last year, Auburn, I think it was like 10-14. I didn't even pay attention to the score much. But they lost to Auburn at home at Cal. And so one thing I did notice is that these 2 teams did run pretty heavily. So again, Auburn under or Auburn, I mean, you could parlay those. I looked at a ton of those, but I think those 2 in particular, I know that we've kind of thrown a lot out there, but I think the biggest thing would be the safe bet being the under. Again, I think the reason why you would focus on that being the case, again, 60% for 332 in last week's win for Auburn, that's not great in productivity. That just means they're getting explosive plays. And so at the end of the day, with the new metrics, the way that we have a running clock, the way that we see it going, they only threw 21 pass attempts and had 322 yards. They only threw for 60%. I know what I looked at between what Cal's trying to do. And I mean, you have a guy like Hugh Freeze coming in who wants to establish an offense. You do that with the run. And so, that's a give me. We can roll in, I guess, into the next one, which would be Duke. I love this one next, if that's possible. But Duke at plus 2.5 at Northwestern is what I last saw it at. That was, a huge one for me just because not a lot of people know. Now, verify if is that at Northwestern, guys?
I believe so.
That is I like that one.
Give me just a second. I'll have.
Yeah, you go for it because Northwestern, is that not a team that's abysmal in the Big Ten that lost to Nebraska last year, or am I mistaking that team?
Yeah, that game
I
is
had
at
some notes on that.
I really like Northwestern, and I think it was Nebraska. I mean, it was like a 10-10, like super irrelevant game, really. But I think I like that pick. I think Duke, even with the new head coach, and obviously they lost their quarterback last season to Notre Dame. But I think I like that pick a lot. So not that I would ever disagree with the Jake.
Yeah, the big thing for them too is. Now, hey, look, I can be completely wrong. I think, again, and that's a great point, seeing Vols time up there, a new coach at Auburn picking the under. But again, it all starts with the run. I mean, every team you can see wants to be able to get the run. I made a note on that game for their yards per play. Duke is playing winning football right now. They had 5.2 yards per play and held Elon to 30 rushing yards. It starts in the line of scrimmage. You're
Yes,
going to be
sir.
able to orchestrate the tempo you want to play at the line of scrimmage. And so, I mean, Duke had 350 total yards, but I mean, they didn't really have to do anything. They just kind of played ball. And so that's the big thing. Northwestern last week at what? They had 178. Does that sound right?
I have no idea. Yeah, but you did more research on it than I did, brother. I haven't even looked at that. But yeah. Did he just cut out? Did we lose him? Did we lose Jake with Raking with Jake? That is up. Jake joined. What is – all right, hold up. 1 second. There he is. He's back.
Yeah.
Got disconnected. It's all good.
What I was trying to say is I think they had 170. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
you're good.
100%.
Okay, good. I think they had about 178 passing yards, they being Northwestern. And so going back to relying on the run game, I think the biggest thing is that they've just got to move on and try to run the rock. That's going to tread down clock once they realize they're behind. So that under's huge or I'm talking about Cal a little bit, but with Northwestern again, Northwestern, they're just not great. They're not a good football team. They allowed 40 rushing yards against Miami, which is kind of scary. So that's why I like that line being close. But Duke, again, I mean, they've taken care of business and they've done what they need to do. And having 5.2 rushing yards a play is, again, winning football. That is huge. And so just going through and looking at what they've been doing continually. The next one y'all touched on a little bit too is the Kentucky minus 8.5. I know these are a lot of the similar ones that y'all have picked on, but I just think Kentucky at 8.5 is a give me. I don't care if I would probably take this truthfully, and I believe it's at Kentucky. And if it's at Kentucky, I would probably take up to 16.5. Just to not push. But, that would be my thought is you're looking at a team that Kentucky didn't really have to do much last week at all. And they're not running the ball super effectively. They've just got a cat who's a junior who comes out of nowhere and bangs off snap, bunch of busted plays. I mean, and you still look, Old Dominion's in a different league. I mean, no knock to them, but that's not a team that should play possession to possession. And so I will take Kentucky again up to about 16.5. So, I think we have two more right now. I think the biggest one is going to South Florida at the plus 30.5. The 30.5 is just disgusting. They are not respecting what's going on at that culture down there. It's the same thing that you see when you had Heupel at UCF. I mean, you kind of just see a culture creep up on you. I really just like the fact that Bethune-Cookman, check this out. Bethune-Cookman had 37 minutes of time of possession in their game last week and still lost 48-3. And so I looked back through some of those notes. USF, I mean, they're playing winning football right now. They're averaging 11.5 yards per pass. They're rushing for 5 yards a carry. I even highlighted it right here, guys. I mean, I don't know if it'll pick up, but that's called winning football. That is winning football. And so,
right on. You're talking about
even saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're talking about a team in Alex Golish's first year there. And, he was within 17 of Alabama last year. Now, I understand circumstances are different, but Jalen Milroe is going to be the quarterback in this game this year. But now you just gave Alex Golish yet another year to use that transfer portal to get his guys in that program. And, 4 touchdowns, that is a lofty. And you're talking 4 touchdowns and a field goal at this point. As far as a cushion that you could kind of utilize if you're USF. And I think you're onto something there. That's a game that I probably wouldn't have touched because I didn't know where the line was. USF, they're explosive. You see how Alabama handles that type of offense. It's not necessarily great. I think Alabama will score theirs, but I think you're right. I think USF will score as well. 100%.
Yep. I agree with that.
So we've got one more. Absolutely. We've got one more left, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So what's that last one?
Well, we got to save the best for last. I mean, the Vols are absolutely covering.
I'm surprised this wasn't the first one, dog.
6.5, or we at 7.5.
Oh, yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about.
It was so good to see. It's and no offense to NC State. NC NC State's a great program. They have 3 super, super good pieces of the offensive puzzle with their quarterback, with Concepcion, and that running back's name. I actually got to watch them quite a bit, and so I'm kind of well informed on what they have. They're scary. I do think that there's some pieces there with the world of the RPO. Now what you're seeing, a lot of teams are really just wanting to ride out the tempo. I mean, we're at the point where I'm trying to show you all a little bit with time of possession, what game is now. I mean, we have a rolling clock and teams that either will outshoot you for just straight up mismatches, and that's something NC State can definitely do. But you definitely have teams that are just better on terms of the defensive front, and that's the difference maker in my opinion. Go back and look at what Tennessee did. They have stout, complete backfield unit when it comes to the front 7. I'm not worried about a run being developed on us. Really, in terms of the past, you've got enough leverage. I feel comfortable enough having numbers in the box and still being able to bracket a guy like Concepcion and still being able to shut down a guy like Jolly. So I think that it's a very easy way to flex into not change your identity on defense, but it's a team that defensively you match well for because you rep against it every day. NC State really is trying to do what Tennessee can do with a couple less weapons. So all in all, I mean, 6.5's to take. I would probably take that. Trying to be respectful because I don't know this team yet. I mean, we just saw them play Chattanooga, and they put on an absolute campaign for showing what excellence is. But I just tend to think that with their you hammer the over. You hammer the over. But guys, that's my 5 picks right now, and hopefully we go 5-0. So we'll see it going on into next week.
Yeah, and Jake, we're excited to have you on. This is going to be a weekly segment through football season, so hopefully make some folks a little bit of money. I know I'm gonna be taking these, and hopefully be making money with you on this. So.
Please bet responsibly. If you have a gambling addiction problem, please call the folks that you need to call to get that taken care of. We're going to try to have some fun with it. Put $2 on a game here. Put $1 on a game there. If you're feeling good like I'm feeling on the Tennessee game, I might put the house on it. Look, I don't know. But no, we appreciate you, Jake. We appreciate the partnership with State Farm there at the Reed Bryant State Farm office. And we really do appreciate you hanging out with us. And thank you for the segment of Raking with Jake. So that I think that's going to wrap up the show. Do we have anything in closing? I feel like we're missing out on that. Are we missing something? It's just been a long show.
I think we're good. I do, since we are doing a betting segment now, I do think we do need to put out the Tennessee red line number for the gambling. That is 1-800-889-9789. Please, as Skylar said, bet responsibly. If you don't have the money to do it, then don't do it. But absolutely, if you've got a couple dollars here and there that you want to put on something, then by all means, but don't bet what you don't have.
That's a fair point. Robert comes on here, and also it's not legal in every state. So wherever you're watching this from, please understand that he's like, look, I wish I could place these bets, but no gambling in California. That's garbage. I agree with you, man. Richard comes in and says Tennessee by double digits, go Big Orange. Thank you, Richard. We appreciate you tuning in. And yeah, I mean, I think that's where the feel is, and that's why we were. I mean, I was kind of surprised. Look, in opening week when they only gave us a 38.5, look, that should have been 40. So I'm like, man, I feel like I'm stealing money here. I put a bet on that. I only put $4, $5 on it maybe. But then I seen the line this week, and they're only giving them, 6.5. Brother, yes. Like, I will take all the money from Vegas as I can because they're going to get it right back. Everything I win, I just goes right back into the next game. So, I mean, please understand where we are, where you're at. And gamble responsibly, but it is fun. It is fun if you do it responsibly and understand that you're not using money that maybe you have to have for that week to put food on the table. Do not do that, please. This is just for fun. But we appreciate Jake and that dude. That is going to be such a fun segment throughout the season. I'm so glad they were on board to do that. And he's very informative. And I like his picks. I'm probably going to put those picks in today because I don't want the lines moving on them. So. With that,
just one more time for those, you can screenshot this, whatever this is. his picks. Now, some of the lines have moved, but
Kentucky is at 9.5, I think.
Tennessee has moved back up to 7.5.
Vols time just put $2 on the under in the LSU game. I guess he's talking about tonight, but okay, that's fair. I'm not touching that game. There's no USC LSU, no defense, no shot. I ain't touching that game.
I've got no feel on that game, so I won't put anything on that game. I won't put anything on that game. So,
but now the Auburn game, like Auburn under 52.5. Like I was kind of like, man, week 1 will get you. Like if you're a better, week 1 will get you because you get all these blowout wins and you think that all offensive just that explosive, but in reality, that's not at all what it's like. So then you look at Auburn under 52.5 and you're like, no way, like they just scored 70 something. Yeah, okay, but now they're playing some competition. Like it's going to be a game. Who do they play? Is it Cal? And he made a great point. Jake made a great point about how much these teams like to run the ball. And with that being in mind, the clock's going to run out a lot quicker, thus less scoring opportunities, which I thought was a very good point. Tennessee minus 6.5, that's a steal. Duke plus 2.5, I think might be a steal. Kentucky, again, that is at minus 9.5 now. It moved today. And then South Florida. South Florida, I think, is the only one that I don't feel as comfortable about. But then again, I do believe in Alex Golish. And so I could see that being a 4-touchdown game.
See, that's my favorite bet on this one is the South
Really?
Florida plus 30.5.
I love that
one.
Okay, that's fair. I'm just thinking Alabama with Jalen Milroe is not the same as what they played last year. But I agree with you. I mean, South Florida is going to score. They're going to scheme up some guys wide open. So you might be onto something there. So, but that is raking with Jake. Those are the picks. I'll use FanDuel. So we use the lines based off of FanDuel, but there are other sports books out there, and that's totally fine. FanDuel is not a paid endorsement. Just want to let you guys know that that's where we get our lines from. With that being said, guys, we appreciate y'all being tuned in. Still got almost 10 people in the YouTube. We appreciate y'all so much. We only had 8 likes. Would be nice to have y'all like the video. That would be awesome. That helps us in the long run. But we'll come at you again next week for the same thing, and hopefully we'll be talking about another Tennessee win. And Michael, you got anything in closing, brother?
Go Big Orange, guys.
We're back. We're so back, dude.